Okay. Now, since relation is a set of ordered pairs or a group of ordered pairs, there are ways in describing or illustrating a relation. Not all the time kasi relation, naka-describe sila or naka-illustrate sila using this format. Merong ibang ways. Okay? The first way is by making use of table of values. Okay. Yung table of values, well, of course, alam na natin ito, nag-start na tong ituro sa atin high school. Okay? So, the first row consists of all the values of x. So, considering this relation, we will be describing this in a lot of ways. We have -2, we have -1, we have 0, and of course, we have 1. Okay? Tapos, sa y naman, we have -3, we have -1, we have 1, and we have 3. Okay? Make sure that kung ano yung x, kakorespond niya yung y niya. Okay? Kasi baka si -1, etong -1 na to, ilalagay nyo kay -2. Okay? No. Kasi according to the given set of ordered pairs, -2 is only connected to -3. Okay? So that is the first way on how to describe a relation is by making use of table of values. Okay, next. Now, we have here another way on how to describe a relation is by making use of an arrow diagram. An arrow diagram, or what we call the mapping diagram, we have here two ovals. Etong oval na to, and the second oval. Okay? The first oval contains the domain. Okay, the domain. Then the second oval contains the range. Okay? Now, same relation din yung gagamitin natin. Ito, same relation. Ito. Ngayon, so of course, dito sa loob ng oval, ilalagay natin lahat ng values of x. So, -2, -1, 0, and 1. Of course, sa range naman would be the remaining values, -3, 1, -1, and +3. Now, since they called it as arrow diagram or connecting diagram, pag sinabi kasi nating mapping, ibig sabihin connecting. Connecting using what? Using arrow. Okay? So, i-connect natin yung domain yung domain mismo, i-connect natin eto, gagamit na ako ng ibang color. Black muna. Okay. I-connect ko si -2. According to relation kasi, -2 is related to -3. Okay. I-connect natin siya like that. Okay. Same as with -1 and -1. So, -2, -3. -1, -1. 0, 1, of course. And of course, last would be 1, 3. So, this is the second way in describing a relation. Yung pinakauna, table of values. Ang pangalawa naman is by making use of an arrow diagram or mapping diagram. Okay? Of course, we will be having the next. Okay? Okay. Ang next natin na illustration or way in describing a relation is by making use of a graph and an equation. Sorry about this. Nakat lang siya. Okay? In describing a relation, we can use a graph and an equation. Isn't it that in making a graph, we need points? Tama ba? And this set of ordered pairs or disordered pairs is or are representations or are numerical representations of points. Tama ba? So, ibig sabihin, sabihin natin that -2, -3 is an ordered pair that can be illustrated using a point on a graph. Okay? So, syempre, for us to make a graph, ipa-plot natin tong 4 na points. Pag sinabi kong points, 4 na ordered pairs. Okay? So, yung una is -2, -3, -2, -3. So, dito siya banda. Tama? Dito siya banda. Okay. Burahin ko lang ito. Okay. Ito, dito siya banda. Tama? -2, -3. So, first point, ayan. Next point is -1 and -1. Ayan, -1 and -1. So, we have here, ayan, -1 and -1. Next is 0, 1. So, dito siya, 0, 1. Tama? Okay, next, 1, 3. Si 1, 3, dito siya. Dito siya. Right? So, ayan. Now, asan yung graph natin? Siyempre, since this is a set of ordered pairs na magkakasama, therefore, we can connect this set of points to make the graph. Okay? Pero, obviously naman, our graph is linear or aligned. Okay? Now, and of course, every graph has its name. Tama ba? Every graph has its name and we call that as equation. Okay? So, ang lahat ng graph, meron silang pangalan or meron silang representation using variables and numbers. And we call that as equation. And the equation of the line is y equals 2x plus 1. Ma'am, paano nyo po ito nakuha? Pwede ko yung gumamit ng any form. Okay? Pwedeng 2-point form sa pagkuha nito. Okay? Pwedeng point slope form sa pagkuha nito. Okay? As long as tama yung solutions ninyo. But I am just telling you that relations, this relation can be represented via graph and equation. So, not all the time, ganito yung format ng relation, but most of the time, ito yung ipapakita ko. Graph and equation. Okay? Graph and equation. Okay. Ano kasi yung, okay. Let's have a review muna. The first way in describing a relation is by making use of table of values. Tama. The second way naman is by making use of what? Mapping diagram or arrow diagram. Then, the next naman would be the graph and of course, the equation. Sulat lang natin dito yung ating values of x. So, bale magiging siyang A, tama. Tapos, B. Tapos, C. Tapos, D. Tapos, E. Okay? Then, for R, I am going to use another color. So, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Now, kaso kulang pa yan. Ano kasing kulang dyan? Of course, what? Ang arrow. Okay? Because this is mapping or connecting diagram. So, A is related to 0. Ayan. And B is related to 1. Tapos, C is related to 3. Ayan. And D is related to 2. And E is also related to 0. So, this would be our this would be our arrow diagram. Okay? Okay, let's have our second example. Our second example, sabi dito, illustrate this relation using table of values. So it means that we will be needing this table, two-row table, wherein the first row contains all the values or all the elements of the domain. Isn't it that the domain is the set of all values of x, right? How about the range? The range naman kasi is the set of all values of y. Therefore, we will write the values of y here. Okay? So, syempre, of course, since we have here 4 elements of our relation, Ben 10, John 8, Kate 10, and Tracy 5. Supposedly, the elements composes of, or the elements compose of names and their corresponding ages, okay? Now, for example, si Ben, 10 years old. Si John, 8 years old. Si Kate, 10 years old daw. And Tracy, sabihin natin that she's 5 years old. Okay? Siyempre dito sa domain natin, we will be writing, of course, si Ben. Kasama si Ben. Susulat natin si Ben dito. Then, of course, si John. Si John din dito. And, of course, si Kate. Si Kate din dito. Then, Tracy. Tapos, dito siya. Okay? And, of course, their corresponding cell dito sa baba, sa second row, would be their ages. So, if ito si Ben, wait lang, magsusulat ako. If ito si Ben, ayan, yung sa baba would be 10. This is just basic. Magre-rely lang naman kayo dito sa sa mismong given na relation natin. Then, if this is John, syempre dapat isusulat yung lahat. And of course, yung sa baba niya would be 8. Next, Kate. Tapos, 10. Now, since we have here table of values, and dapat magka-correspond yung age at saka yung name, kailangan yung isulat yung dalawang 10. Kailangan yung isulat yung dalawang 10. Okay? Kailangan yung isulat ito at saka ito. Okay. Burahin ko lang ito. Okay. Now, syempre dito would be the remaining si Tracy. Gagamit ako ulit ng pen. Okay, Tracy. Tapos, of course, 5. Okay. So, let us see. Okay. So, Ben 10. Okay. Ben 10. John 8. Kate 10. And, of course, Tracy 5. So, this relation is being illustrated using table of values. Okay. Okay, now, mamaya, magsasend ako sa inyo ng activities. You're going to answer the given activities. Okay, tapos ipapass nyo sa akin. And, okay, let's have this. Now, I have here two relations. First relation and second relation. Okay? Na wherein, etong dalawang relation na to, naka-illustrate sila using mapping diagram or arrow diagram. Tama ba? Mapping diagram and arrow diagram, one way on how to describe or illustrate a relation. Now, let us have the first relation muna. According to the first relation, we have here two values, 1 and 2, right? As the domain, okay? Domain ito. Automatically naman, ito, domain. Tapos, ito, range. Okay? Now, sabi dito that 1 corresponds to a given value of y, which is 2. And another thing, that 1 is also related to 3. 1 is also related to 4. Right? Parang si 2 din. Kung si 1 related kay 4, si 2 related din siya kay 4. Then, si 2, related din siya or connected din siya kay 7. There's a relationship existing between the values of the domain and values of range according to this set of arrows, tama? Now, let's have naman the second relation. Kasi we will be identify the difference between the two relations. Okay? Yung sa domain natin, gamit lang ako ng pen. Okay. Ito si domain at ito naman si range. Syempre, of course, meron tayong set of arrows, okay? I have here 3 elements of the domain. So, 1, -1, and -2. And 1, 2, 3 sa range naman. Now, according to this relation, second relation, that 1 is only related to one element of R, and that is 1. Okay? And -1 is connected to another element of R, which is 2. -1 related kay positive 2. Tapos, sabi dito, yung pinaka-last would be -2, related daw siya kay positive 3. By just simply looking at the first relation and the second relation, you can easily say that meron tayong multiple relations dito na nag-e-exist sa first relation, unlike dito. Tama ba? Ito ang nag-e-exist is one-to-one relationship. Tama ba? Now, the idea here gives us an hint or give us hint on what would be the next concept. Okay? Dito meron tayong multiple relation, dito meron tayong one-to-one relation. Kasi meron tayong special type of relation in which we called it as